In chapter 23 of Breshit, Sarah dies, and in order to bury her, Avraham makes his first purchase of land. Burial is such an important mitzvah, and it's important that a mitzvah becomes the context for the first purchase recorded in the Torah. What does this teach us about a Jewish ethic of ownership? Avraham wants to buy from the Hittites Me'arat HaMachpelah, the cave of Machpelah. Their leader, Ephron, wants to gift it to him, or perhaps only to give it to him for the use of it. But Avraham wants to own it. So they go back and forth about whether it's a gift or a purchase until they agree on a price and make the deal. Many people are critical of Abraham's focus on this business at a time of mourning, but I think it's worth considering nonetheless what the story teaches us about the ethical significance of ownership. In modern America, we say things like, a man's home is his castle. Think about what this conveys about our culture. Ownership in the dominant American view is bound up primarily with individuality and individual control, individual rights. That's the typical starting point. Owning creates an absolute individual right, and to deviate from that requires a special justification. For Avraham, the starting point is different. Avraham has been a wanderer, and while he owns herds and has been very prosperous and never in need, only very late in life he turns to consider ownership for the first time. For Avraham, ownership of the cave is grounded first and foremost in a purpose. There's an immediate purpose, which is a mitzvah he needs to do. He needs the cave to bury Sarah. Avraham also intends for this place to endure beyond his own life as a physical symbol of his family legacy, which is the story of a covenant that is young at the moment but will unfold over generations. God has promised a mission for his descendants that will take place in this land, and Avraham wants to leave his descendants something connected to that, which is theirs undisputedly. Avraham's purposes for owning the cave define what he can and can't do there. He can't use it to build a separate settlement for himself apart from the Hittites, or a fortification, just for burial. Second, for Avraham, owning the cave is about defining a relationship between him and the people around him. Avraham has been a transient in this city of Hebron, coming and going, and the Hittites and he don't necessarily know each other that well. So this acquisition, this beginning of ownership, is a jumpstart toward an enduring relationship. At its best, doing business with someone is the easiest way to begin to develop trust. In the context of a very specific ownership transaction, it's easy to define what honesty and integrity are and are not. If done well, exchanging ownership is an easy win, a deposit on a positive relationship. It's a moment of equality, and then the boundaries around what's mine and yours give us a way over time to respect each other's individuality. Definition helps us see each other as who we each are, to relate to each other specifically. So in this story, ownership serves purpose and relationship. Within those comes individuality and the prerogatives of ownership. This is the ideal. Obviously, owning is often not done well. Soon in the Torah, Yaakov will purchase Esav's birthright, but he will do it by taking advantage of someone who is weary and hungry. Modern examples of this are everywhere, including, sadly, in the contemporary city of Hebron itself in Eretz Yisrael today. And these all lead some to a critique of ownership altogether, which is why it's important to define a Jewish ethic of ownership. Ownership is everywhere in our daily life and our social structure. It pervades our consciousness and our metaphors and our language about everything. To push against the modern language of ownership, we need an alternative. In the Torah, that alternative begins with Avraham and the Hittites and the ownership of Me'arat HaMachpelah.